Hi there, my name's Daniel from Transformative Trailer Sales. I'm going to be walking you through your 2022 Wildwood 178Bhsk. We're just going to start off the back of the trailer here. You notice that you are pre-wired for an observation camera. If you were to want to get those, you can just talk to our parts department and they can get you set up for that. The back of the trailer, you do have an exterior shower. Your trailer should include a silver 751 key. That is what opens up all your compartment doors as well as your shower door. You just gotta stick that key in there, open that up. You do have a shower head with hot and cold water inside there. Just locking that up to keep it stored. In the back bumper here, you just pull this cap off. This is where we include your sewer hose. Just take note of those two ears there. Those are gonna be the same two ears that hook up to your sewer outlet, which I'll show you in a second. We just keep this stored away in the back bumper here, just to keep the smell outside of the unit. In this corner of the trailer, as well as all four corners of the trailer, you do have stabilizer jacks. The way those work is you're just gonna run those to the ground. Once the foot touches the ground, just give it another 1/8 turn, and it is just gonna take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. And right up from there, we do have your low point drains. So if you have, let's say you're leaving the unit for a while, you don't want the water to go stale or stagnant in the lines, you just loosen off that cap, and the water should drain out of the lines. A little further forward, you do have your sewer outlet. That works pretty simple. You just take this cap, you untwist it. Take note of those two ears there. Those are the same two ears that were on your sewer hose. They just hook up with these notches. You do have a gray valve and a black valve. Your black valve is gonna be your dirtiest water, which is filled from your toilets. So you are gonna wanna empty that first, and then you can follow behind that with your gray valve, which is going to be your more cleaner water filled from your sinks and your shower. Right up from there, you do have your 30 amp plug end. Just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with that notch on the trailer side. Plug that in, give it an 1/8 turn, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. Right next to that, there is a city water connection. The way that works is if you're at a site with service, you just thread a garden hose into there, turn on your water, and it'll pressurize all your lines inside your unit. No need to run your water pump. And then you do also have a black tank flush installed in this unit. The way that works is, again, you just thread a garden hose into there, turn the water on, and it is gonna flush out that black tank. So let's say you empty the tank, you know for a fact it's empty, but there's just some debris hanging between the probes. That'll rinse it out. It'll also help with a little bit of the smell. If you notice the smell after the first few uses. If you follow your power cord back, you do have just your standard 30 amp plug end. We do include a 15 amp park adapter if your campsite doesn't have this, or if you're at home and you want to run your fridge on your driveway. Just keep it in mind, you're just going down to 15 amps of power, so you can't run something like your air conditioner off that. A little further ahead, it's just your front storage compartment. Inside there is where we include your tool for doing your stabilizer jack down. The way that works is it's just a socket that goes onto this bolt head. One way's up, one way's down, one way's up. Works pretty simple. And just that 15 amp park adapter I told you about earlier. At the front of the unit, there is this is where we have your battery box. Your battery is stored inside of there. Just back from there is your battery disconnect switch. With the battery disconnect switch on, the batteries are connected to the unit. With the battery disconnect switch off, the batteries are disconnected from the unit, and you can also pull this key right off if you were to want to do so you can lock out power to the unit. And then you do have just your barbecue style tank up front. That works pretty simple. You turn this valve, it is going to turn on propane to the unit. And then just your tongue jack, one way's up, one way's down. Just another storage compartment in the front here, as well as another stabilizer jack. This little flap here is for your overhead range hood. You are gonna wanna always make sure you open that up when you first get to your campsite, just so it allows it to evacuate whatever fumes or smoke you're trying to evacuate out of the unit while you're cooking. But whenever you do travel, you can just close that, and it is just gonna stop any dust from float into the unit while you're traveling. It just snaps into place. You do have your furnace exhaust right here, so just keep in mind of that whenever you're running your furnace. This is going to be blowing out hot air. And then just your freshwater fill. Undo that cap, fill up your freshwater tank. Once the freshwater tank's full, it will just give a shot of water out of that vent hole, letting you know it's full. To drain that freshwater tank is just a little cap right below here, right behind this propane line. You just undo that cap, and it'll start draining your fresh water tank. And just always making sure you do that cap back up whenever you go to fill it up again, or you're just gonna be emptying water. On this side of the trailer, you do also have your hot water little service port. All you're gonna have to know in this guy here is this is the drain bolt for it. It is an 1/16" socket that you're gonna have to put on there. And then you do have, I'm going to go over a reset procedure once we're inside. The button I'm going to refer to is just right here. And then when you get to your campsite, before you ever fire up your hot water heater, you are just going to want to give that valve a pull. It's going to give out a shot of water. Just always making sure that that shot of water comes out. This unit's winterized, so there was no shot of water, but that would tell you that the tank's empty and you wouldn't want to fire it at that point because you run the risk of burning some stuff out. And this compartment is just a little exterior kitchen kind of deal. This slides out, it's a nice griddle. You got this propane hose. You just run that down behind the stove. And there is a quick connect line right on the bottom of the trailer here. You do always have to make sure that this valve is closed. When this valve is closed, it's closing off the flow of propane, so it's going to allow you to use that threaded collar or the pullback collar. So just pulling that collar back, pushing it in, locks it into place. You can then open the flow of propane. As an added safety feature, you can't undo this line whenever the propane is flowing, so you always just got to make sure you're closing that flow to unconnect it. And always putting the dust cap back on, that way you're not getting any debris inside there. And then you can just pull that back and push it behind the stove, fold that back into place. You do have a mini fridge in this compartment. Unfortunately, this mini fridge is only going to work when you're plugged into shore power because it is only a 110 volt fridge. To get inside the unit, you're just grabbing this stair, pulling it out, you fold that top down, you take your assist handle, you push it up, fold it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. And at that point, you are able to open your door. Now, I will note whenever you are opening this door, if you plan on running your awning, you're just going to want to make sure that that door is not fully open, blocking the awning, because you do run the risk of damaging some stuff if you were to try to open that awning while the door was open all the way. So just making sure you don't fold that too much over. You got a light switch on the left, which does a awning LED strip. And then the one on the right just does one little entryway light here, and all the other lights in the unit are on their own center push buttons. To run that slide out, you just push the far right button up. The slide out's gonna start making its way out. You'll know that slide is fully extended when you hear the motors wind up a little bit and stall out. So there you go, the motor's wound up and stalled out. Now you can run your awning out just by pushing the down button. The awning's gonna start making its way out. You know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Always being mindful whenever you are running your slide out or your awning, just making sure that you have enough space on either side of it. So there's that little flap hanging down in that back of the metal tube. Now if you just take a step down, I'll be able to show you that if you do ever start getting rain, you can change the pitch of the awning head just by grabbing this arm here and pulling it down. Changes the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you do like that angle better because it allows for more shade under here, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just always making sure you push these arms back to straight whenever you bring that awning in. You are going to want to make sure you bring in your awning too whenever it starts getting a little windy, because you don't want to have those arms rip off or the fabric rip. Bringing it in, whenever you hear it contact the side of the trailer, that's when you know it's fully in. If you take a step on inside, you will notice that you have your fire extinguisher right on your left. This unit does have a propane stove and a propane furnace inside it. With that, it is included with an LP detector. Propane's heavier than air. That guy's going to detect it. If that guy does start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane to the unit and open up all the windows. On this side of the bed here, you will notice this nice little speaker. It is the stereo for the unit. You can also disconnect it, and it is rechargeable. You just got your power button there. It's going to work like any normal Bluetooth speaker, and to charge it up again, you just got to lock it into its charging dock, and then it'll start charging up. You can use it while it's charging, and you do also have 2 additional USB ports that you can plug in under other devices too. The bed inside this unit, you have your couch. If you were to want to bring that bed down, you just got to fold the foot of the couch out. The couch is going to fold down. You just have a travel latch on that one side. That's just going to push up. Move that out of the way. And you'll be able to fold that front bed down. Down comes your mattress, and you have a bed. Get it back in. It just kind of works the same way, just pushing it up, making sure it all folds in nicely. Taking that travel latch and locking that back into place, that way it doesn't fall on anybody's head. And then the couch just folds up by grabbing the foot and the head of the bed, and it folds back down into a couch. The one thing I did forget to mention, you do have your solar controller right here. They call it a controller, but it is just more of a monitor panel. So right now it is showing you that we are charging at 13.6 volts. If you hit that amp button, it's just going to tell the amps that are drawing or charging. And same thing with amp hours, but there's no batteries in this unit right now, so that would be why it's not showing up anything. And then you can just change your battery type that you have. That's going to be about it for that. On this side of the unit, you will notice that all the blinds in the unit can kind of work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. This is a fire exit. To use that, you just take this little tab, pull it, the screen's going to pop out, and then you can just take this handle, push it out of the unit, and you can climb on out. In the kitchen space of this unit, you do have some storage space on the right. You have a microwave as well as your overhead fan. So with that flap open, you can turn that fan on. I do recommend using this fan whenever you're using the stove, just because it is on propane. To use that stove, you just fold that glass cover back, just being mindful it is glass. Just be gentle. You can turn on some additional knob lights, and then to light it, you would just turn it over to high, and that clicker will start trying to go. Sometimes it can take a minute to clear all the propane out of the line, so you just got to be kind of patient with it. I'm just going to go make sure that the propane is on at the front of the unit. Now that the propane is on at the front, we should be able to get it to light. Sometimes you do just have to leave it on high for a second just to try and clear a little bit of that air out of the propane lines. There we go. Now it's lit. We'll get the back one lit. Like I said, sometimes it can take a few minutes just to get the air out of the lines. Don't panic. Then just always making sure you allow this to cool off before you close that glass cover down. You got a sink with hot and cold water. One thing I will note, that if you open up this door here, you got 2 little false panels. Each one is held in with a screw. Once you remove those screws, it is going to give you access to your hot water pump, or your hot water tank where your bypass valves is. And then right underneath this false door is where your water pump's going to be, that you get access to hook up that antifreeze line. You do have your ever chill fridge. You do have this nice safety travel latch just so it doesn't pop open while you're moving. And then the controls for this one is pretty simple. In the freezer, you do just have a knob and it goes from cold to colder. So obviously cold is going to be the warmer temperature. And then to operate the fridge, if it is off, you just have to hold that power button down for a second, let it go. It's going to turn itself on, and it'll do the same thing. If you hold it and turn it, it'll turn itself on, and then just hitting that button if you want to change the temperature settings. The higher the number, the colder it's going to go. Now right above my head here is just the air conditioner. You will notice that it does have for the temperature, it does have a red setting. Now there is no actual heater element installed in this. It is just an air conditioner. So that won't really do anything except for turn the air conditioning off and just use the fan. If you turn this knob once, it's going to go to low fan. So now this is just the air conditioner moving air around. There's no cooling involved. It's the same thing on the next setting for high fan. Now you get into low cool, so now this is when the actual air conditioning part takes into place. And then you do have louvers on each side of the air conditioner, so you can control how much air flows where. And then turning that knob one more time just goes to high cool, which is the fan on high with the cooling involved. And then just turning that knob back to off. You do have bunk beds inside this unit. Each bunk bed does have USB plugins as well as their own lights. On this wall here, you do have your thermostat. This thermostat's going to be controlling your furnace. If you take this little slider and you slide it all the way to the right, that's going to be at its hottest setting. That furnace is going to run until it reaches your desired temperature. To turn it off, you just slide it all the way to the left, and then with it one click over is just going to be on its lowest setting, and anywhere in the middle would be warmer or cooler. You do have a TV backer on this wall here. If you were to want to install a TV, this is where you would want to do it, because you do have your plug-in as well as your coax plugins. This little green light here is just telling you that you have the antenna on the roof turned on. With the antenna on the roof turned on, it does also improve radio frequency. Inside your dinette area, you do have your own little center push button light. This dinette does turn into a bed as well. You just have to remove these bottom legs out. The table would sit on these ledges here, and you could just take your back cushions and fill in the center, and you could have another bed. You do have some storage underneath here as well. And then just inside the bathroom, you do have your light switch just on its own center push button. And this is where you're going to find your main GFI plug. You got test on the left and reset in the middle. Sorry, test on the left, reset in the middle. Just always making sure that there's no light on. That's telling you that all your outlets are working. If you ever have an outlet that's not working, this would be the first place I would check. And then you do just have a single hot and cold water with some storage. And as well as a fan inside the shower area. Now, while we were over here, I didn't go over your monitor panel system. So you got, for battery, it goes low, fair, good, and charging. We're plugged in, so it's currently charging. And then you get your fresh, your black, and your gray levels. That'll go empty, a third, 2/3, and full. And then you do have your water pump switch. Turn that on. It's going to turn on your water pump, which draws from your fresh water tank. And then you do have your water heater switch. So if you turn that on, the water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light's going to stay on. So at that point, you do just have to turn this switch off, go hit that reset button I showed you earlier, and then turn it back on, and then it'll try relighting itself. You do also have a smoke detector right above your head. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.